is going on, all my haunted followers? Guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're watching this video and you haven't done so yet, please like and subscribe down at the bottom. Guys, I asked for good stories and I got them. Thank you all for sending in those stories. Here are 5 haunted houses stories. Something that's always been interested to me as a paranormal investigator. Living in a haunted home is definitely not easy. And, moving from that is something that you never forget. Guys, I also want to state that, again, I'm trying to do my best here uploading them. It's going to be every other Friday, looks like. Just gives me about 2 weeks to edit, upload, and all of that. Those are fun things with these videos. As always, my haunted followers, sit back and prepare to get scared. This story is still difficult to talk about, even though it happened to me, well, several years ago. This happened to me when I was 8 years old. My dad was a huge fan of old Victorians, and he had gotten lucky in purchasing one. It was old, run down, but he was a handyman, so to speak. The paranormal activity didn't really start until maybe several months into living there. My dad had pretty much put all his money into it, so there was no option for us to move, I guess. This one is still in my mind and still I get nightmares about. I was in my bed facing the doorway. All of a sudden, this black figure appeared inside the doorway. Thinking it was my mom, I said, "Mom, what do you want?" But this figure didn't answer. It just stood there. Before my eyes, it started to form into this black mist looking thing. And then it started engulfing the room, almost like a shadow taking over an entire light source. I was so scared, I couldn't move. When I say I couldn't move, it was almost like I was paralyzed. And then it took a human figure into this, well, creature looking thing. I can't explain it. It was half human, half goat. It just stood over me and told me that if we didn't leave the house, that we all would die. Of course, my parents didn't believe me when I told them this. The activity gotten worse and worse until my dad experienced one for himself. He was in the basement, and as he was sitting there, he heard something behind him. He turned around to see this black mist again behind him. It attacked him. When I say attacked, it threw him against the wall, almost choking him. My mom heard him yelling, and as soon as she ran down the stairs, it let him go. And that was it. That was it for my dad. He had enough. Now, there's several occurrences, but all these are the ones that stick into my mind. And now, as an adult, I still have to sleep with the lights on. Everyone talks about how cool it would be to live in a haunted house, but I'm telling you, it's not. They say that everything has an explanation, but I'm here to tell you that that is completely false. Why? Because I grew up in what you would call a haunted house. What makes ghosts haunt homes? What makes a house haunted? I don't know. But I can tell you that ghosts sometimes are not there just to haunt the home, but to haunt the people that are living there. Back when I was about 7, my family had purchased an old home. The home was definitely old, built in the 1920s or even earlier than that. It's a beautiful home, not to lie, but it always gave me the chills. And I literally mean chills. The home was always cold. No matter what my dad did to warm it up, it was always cold. Especially the back part of the house, right near my room. Now, kids at school would tell me these weird stories about how the house was haunted and how they used to call it the haunted house on the street. I truly never believed them, because for several months living there, nothing happened. That was until my dad started to renovate the home. Now, I know you've heard that renovating a home upsets spirits, and I'm here to tell you that is completely true. well, to the most part, I guess. My dad began refinishing the kitchen and the bathroom area. That's when weird things would just happen. My dad's tools would go missing, and he would end up blaming me and my little sister. But we would tell him all the time that it wasn't us. This was all little things until one night. I was laying in my bed. I heard somebody walking down the hallway. This is about 1 o'clock in the morning, thinking that it was my little sister going to the bathroom. I stood up and yelled, well, whispered, "Stacy." No answer. "Stacy." Again, no answer. That is when I saw her. A woman, in her early 40s, in this old Victorian looking dress, and evil looking. Any kind of horror movie looking ghost. She looked absolutely mad. She stood in my doorway just staring at me. She then pointed to me and told me to come here with her finger. Obviously, I didn't. This freaked me out, and I went to scream, but nothing came out. The next morning, I thought it was nothing more than just a dream. But I quickly realized that it wasn't a dream, because my little sister experienced the same thing. We tried and tried to tell our parents about it, but obviously they didn't believe us. For months on end, this lady would appear in my doorway. Honestly, I got so used to it. She just stood there and never really did anything. That was until one night. I had had enough, and so had she. I stood up, and I told her to get out. But it just angered her. That's when she started floating into my room. She grabbed me by my neck and started choking me. It felt so real. And then I woke up. I woke up from the worst nightmare in my entire life. So I thought. I had finger marks all over my neck. My parents, at that point, believed me, and we quickly moved out of the home. Years later, we found out that a woman had committed suicide. She committed suicide in my room, the room that I slept in. If you think haunted houses are cool, or even watch about them and think, how I wish I could live in one, I'm here to set your record straight. You'll never wish that upon yourself if you only knew what it was really like. Back in 2013, me and my husband had just moved into a new home, not realizing just what we were dealing with. It started on our very first week for us living there. I recall an incident that scared the crap out of me. I was sitting on the couch and I heard someone whisper my name in my ear. Jenny. At first, I thought it was my husband. I turned around to joke with him, and, well, there was nothing there. Another incident was one night I was in bed. My husband was working late. I heard someone walking down the hallway. I glanced up at the door and didn't see anything. Just as I thought it was over, I heard someone coming down the stairs again. And I heard my door started creaking open. The door fully opened and there was no one there. I was freaked out, but thought it was just the wind. And that's when I heard it. Heard it from down the hallway. Jenny. Jenny. I freaked out. I ended up calling my husband, who was a police officer. After several minutes of searching, nothing was found and no indication of breaking and entry could be found. I really thought that I was losing my mind. That was until Jamie experienced something of his own. He was in the shower when he heard something strange, like when you write on a mirror or a damp mirror, that squeaky sound. He stopped the shower, looked out, and he saw it. My name written in the mirror. And he thought, at first, it was me, until it quickly dawned on him that I was at work. The last and final straw was when my husband was pushed from behind and nearly fell down the stairs. We ended up moving after 3 months of living there and these weird happenings. Apparently, the ghost had a little crush on me. No thanks, ghost. What makes a haunted house haunted? I really don't care. What I care about is what I dealt with a good portion of 5 years when I was a little girl. Back in 1981, my parents had won a house after my great grandmother died. The house was built in the late 1800s and definitely had seen better days. But Dad had also gotten a good chunk of change. So he decided to take several months off and working on renovating the house for a sale. I can tell you how I was always scared of the house. It was always just giving me chills. One night, I was laying in bed and I heard something tapping on the window. At first, I thought it was my imagination. I turned over and there, in my window, was an old lady. I screamed so loud. Mind you, my window is on the second floor. Of course, my parents came running and, of course, didn't believe me. Weird things kept happening. I would wake up with scratches. My toys would always go missing. My parents just thought I was making up because of the stress of the move. Until my mom, with her own eyes, saw her. The old lady. She was just sitting in the kitchen when my mom walked in. She screamed and dropped her mug, and the woman just vanished. My dad was a hard around the edges type guy and played it off like we were stressed out. This happened for a well over 5 year span, to the point I was just used to it. She would just make my life a living hell. My dad never believed me or my mom, so my mom had it one night and took me and my little sister and left the house. My dad stayed up until his death in 2001. We had just started packing up the house for a sale, and I dreaded every moment of it. Days went on without incident until one day I was in my old room packing boxes and I heard someone enter the room. Thinking it was my husband coming to grab a few boxes, I told him, "Babe, grab the door, please." I then heard this cackle. I froze. I turned around and there she was, the old woman, evil looking as always. I screamed and told her to leave me alone, and she vanished. We ended up selling the house several months later. So the person who is living there now, I'm so sorry. Although this story may seem short, the events that took place felt like years, even though it was nothing more than a week. Back in 2018, I had just moved into a college dorm room with a girl I had never met before. She seemed really nice, up until 2 days of living with her. One night, I had just gotten home from a study session, and I found her at the kitchen table playing with a Ouija board. Yes, a Ouija board. I didn't think anything of it, thinking it was just like more than a game, until I did research, and I was absolutely freaked out. I confronted her, and she just told me, "Don't worry about it." That's what I thought. I thought, "Don't worry about it." That was up until the event the next day, or night. We were both just sitting there on the couch, watching a scary movie, kind of to fill the ambience, I guess. And we heard a commotion in the kitchen. It sounded like glass being moved, like little glasses. We got up and checked the kitchen, and we were freaked out. We found that all our mugs and glasses and spoons had been put together to spell out 666. Mind you, there is no way for anyone to get into our apartment. I know it wasn't her, and it wasn't me. That was it. We were done. We ended up moving out of there. I haven't talked to her since, but from what I hear from many people around the college, is that she's changed completely. Guys, don't mess with the paranormal. Well, my haunted followers, guys, I hope that you enjoyed those stories as I did. Growing up in a haunted house is probably not the easiest thing to deal with, as you can tell some by some of the stories. You know, um, a haunting can be terrifying, without a doubt. I believe, the way I think about it this way is if you have an unwelcome guest, especially if you have moved into a new home, you spend thousands of dollars on a house, thousands, I mean, more than that, obviously, but, you know, um, especially with the old Victorian story about the person who spent tens of thousands of dollars to remodel a home just to simply have something, you know, make them move out because of a haunting. You know, dealing with a haunting, I mentioned this in a couple other videos, you have to completely understand that sometimes you just have to live with it. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people have to do. They don't have the ability to move out right away. So, dealing with it is sometimes the only way to really move on from something. Obviously, with the first story, she was more terrified and she was more traumatized by the course of actions of this ghost. It's very possible to have that happen. Guys, as always, please like and subscribe down at the bottom. I'm going to try to upload again. I'm going to upload these videos every other Friday and so forth and so on. But keep watching and keep listening. Happy hauntings.